Have you ever delivered food to someone and felt like you might not make it out of the house alive? Welcome back to Nightmare Delivery, where your average shift can turn into your worst fear. It was supposed to be my final delivery of the night. I worked at a small-town pizzeria called Leonardo's. My boss, Frank, was on the night shift with me and usually handed out delivery assignments. This one seemed simple, just to regular pizzas. I was given a paper slip with an address and a phone number. Now, this was 2009. I had a flip phone, no GPS, no apps, and I didn't own one of those Garmin devices. I still used an old beat-up street atlas to navigate. The address said something like Willows Road, though I can't remember the exact number. Just that it was a nightmare to find. The town was rural, miles of farmland and woods, barely any streetlights. I had to pull over several times, switch on my car's interior light, and squint at the map. It was stressful. Every driveway looked like a random trail into the forest. After getting completely turned around, I called the number on the slip. It rang a lot. Just as I was about to hang up, someone answered. No greeting, just silence. I said hello, and a slow, quiet voice echoed it back. That voice was unsettling, low, monotone, and barely human. I explained I was the pizza guy, having trouble finding the place. The man replied, still speaking slowly, that his driveway looked like a dirt trail and was easy to miss. He gave very vague directions. Eventually, I found it. I turned off the main road onto a thin dirt path, trees closing in around me like a tunnel. After creeping forward for half a minute, a small one-story house came into view. The only light came from an orange glow inside. There was an old beat-up pickup truck parked outside. I parked beside it, grabbed the pizzas, and approached the house. No doorbell, just a hard knock. I heard music playing, something ancient, like it was from a time before vinyl records. Footsteps approached the door and stopped after about 10 seconds. The door cracked open just a sliver and I saw one eye peeking out. I nervously said, "Hey, you ordered the pizza, right?" The voice answered, "Oh, yes, the pizza." It was the same guy from the phone. Call, still slow, still emotionless. When I asked if he had the cash, he paused, then said, "Yes, let me go get it." I waited and waited. Music from the 1930s floated through the air, warped and haunting. The door slowly creaked open more on its own. I caught a glimpse of the living room, metal sheets on the floor, furniture from a forgotten era, and that same scratchy music playing from a record player with one of those giant gramophone horns. And the smell was awful, rotten, like something was decomposing in there. I called out again, and the man's voice came from deeper in the house. "Would you mind coming into the kitchen, please?" My gut screamed no. We were always told never enter someone's house unless you had to. And this house, this was not the one to make an exception for. I asked him to repeat it. He did. Same words, same slow delivery. I stepped in, hesitant. My feet actually sank slightly into the old, sagging floorboards. The hallway was narrow, dim, and cold. To my left, the kitchen. To my right, a hallway lined with closed doors. At the end of it was someone dancing. It was a man facing away from me, slowly swaying and touching himself. Not in a sexual way, but like he was fascinated by his own skin. I felt sick. Then, from the kitchen wall, the first man peeked out again. Just one eye showing. I asked again if he had the money. No answer, just a soft, deep chuckle. Then a sharp, sudden voice yelled, "Randall." My stomach dropped. That was it. I was done. I turned around, took one last glance at the hallway, and the man who had been dancing, he was just standing still now, staring. I bolted. Still holding the pizzas, I ran to my car, tossed them in, and started the engine. As I backed up, I looked back at the house, and the door was wide open again, but no one was in sight. I didn't wait around to find out if they were coming for me. I drove straight back to Leonardo's, told Frank everything. He didn't even question it. He just shook his head and said, "You did the right thing." Everyone laughed when I told the story later, but the dreams, they've never gone away. That peeking eye, that voice, that smell. Since then, I've never stepped into another house while delivering food, and I never will. I'm currently 20 years old, but this story happened when I was 19. I live in Newark, Delaware, a relatively small and quiet town most of the year. That is, until college season kicks in during the fall and spring. Newark is home to the University of Delaware, a large and well-respected school, but it's also got a bit of a reputation for being a party school. When the college kids roll in, the entire vibe of the town changes. Bars stay packed, sidewalks stay crowded, and things get loud. Anyway, I work as a bicycle delivery driver for Jimmy John's. Still do, actually. This happened on a Tuesday or Wednesday night in the spring, late April or early May, though I can't remember exactly. It was my typical 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift. Our store stays open until 2 on weekdays and 3 on weekends. So by the time most places shut down, we're one of the only options left in town. Naturally, that means a flood of drunk and rowdy students swarming the place for sandwiches. It gets chaotic fast. Deliveries would fly in, non-stop, exhausting, sure, but tips made it worth the hassle. This was my last delivery of the night. It came in right before 2 a.m., just as I was ready to clock out and head home. I was frustrated, not gonna lie, but I had no choice. It was my turn. The address was familiar, so I jumped on my bike and headed out. I should mention that we use bikes because traffic can get pretty nasty around campus, especially on weekends, and bikes let us weave through the chaos. I got to the house in under 10 minutes and knocked on the door. No answer. Knocked again, even louder. Still nothing. At this point, I was annoyed. If no one came out, I'd have to take the food back, and the whole trip would have been a waste. I called the number on the receipt. No one picked up. Just as I was about to call the store, I heard something rustling from across the street. I figured it was the wind at first, but something made me turn and look. That's when I saw a figure crouched low behind a line of bushes in someone's yard. My stomach dropped. Even though I couldn't see his face, I could feel that. He was staring straight at me. He wasn't moving, just watching. And even though I was panicking inside, I tried not to let it show. I knocked again on the door, acting like I hadn't noticed anything. Still, no answer. I glanced back. He was still there, watching. I started to think this was some kind of setup. Was someone trying to lure me here? Was this guy waiting for me to let my guard down? I knocked even louder, now desperate. Finally, someone stumbled to the door, half as clearly annoyed. I explained the delivery, and he told me he didn't place an order. Said it must have been his roommate, who was upstairs and likely passed out drunk. As he went to check, I glanced across the street. Agnand nearly froze. The man had moved. He was closer, still crouching, still staring. My heart was pounding. I debated going inside for safety, but I didn't want to leave my bike. If he took it, I'd be screwed. And besides, what if he followed me in? What if he had a weapon? The guy came back down, said his roommate wouldn't answer. I begged him to just sign for it. No tip. I didn't care. I just wanted out. He hesitated, then finally signed. I handed off the food, muttered a quick thanks, and turned to leave. That's when I heard fast footsteps. I looked left and saw the man sprinting toward me. Full speed, wearing jeans, boots, a black hoodie with the hood up, and what looked like a ski mask. I couldn't see his face, only his eyes. And in one hand, I swear I saw something glint. A blade. I didn't wait to confirm. There wasn't time to think. No room for error. I couldn't U-turn, he'd catch me. I had one option. A nearby bike trail I knew by heart. It was pitch black, with no lights, and I didn't have a headlamp. But it was my only shot. I bolted, flying down the path, swerving. Around blind turns, ears tuned to every crack of a twig or crunch of gravel. My breathing was loud, erratic. I kept expecting to see him right behind me, reaching out, but he never came. I didn't see him again. I made it back to the store, heart racing, chest heaving. I didn't tell anyone. Not my boss, not the police. What could I even say? I didn't get a clear look. I just clocked out, threw my bike in the trunk, and drove home grateful I had my car that night. I never worked another midnight shift after that. And now, I always carry a pair of nunchucks when I do late night deliveries, just in case. Newark isn't known for being dangerous. But after that night, I realized it doesn't matter where you live. Danger doesn't care about zip codes. It finds you when you least expect it. I used to deliver for Uber Eats. I was trying to pay off my student loans, so I was hustling however I could. I still lived with my parents at the time, and late night deliveries were my go to higher pay. No traffic, more orders. One night, I picked up an order from a fast food place in Wilmington, North Carolina. The delivery address was about 20 minutes away, in a quieter, more rural part of town. It was late, almost midnight, and the farther I drove, the darker and emptier the roads became. Eventually, the GPS took me off the main road, down a narrow, dead-end street lined with small, dark houses. The destination was the last house on the block. Every house was pitch black. No porch lights, no interior lights, not even the house I was supposed to deliver to. I had to use both my car headlights and the flashlight on my phone just to find the front door. The grass was overgrown and brushing against my legs like no one had touched this place in weeks. The delivery was marked "Hand it to me," so I couldn't just drop it and leave. I rang the doorbell. Nothing knocked. Still nothing. I messaged the customer to confirm the address. They replied right away. Give me a second. A few minutes passed. Still no lights inside, no movement. I messaged again and asked if they could confirm the house number. The response chilled me. I see you. You're at the right house. I froze. There were no cars in the driveway, no signs of life, just silence and shadows. I replied, asking what kind of car they saw outside, trying to buy time. The answer came, "I see your light." I stepped back from the door. Something felt off. I messaged again, no reply. Then a voice called from the darkness, "Over here." I spun around, aiming my flashlight in every direction. "Nothing," I said loudly. I'm leaving the food on the porch, hoping to scare off whoever was playing games. Then I walked slowly back to my car. That's when I heard the unmistakable hiss of air leaking. I looked down, my tires were slashed. Both left side tires were visibly deflating. I jumped in the car and locked the doors. My dashboard lit up with warnings, low pressure on all 4 tires. I was starting to panic. Should I call the cops and wait, or run to another house? Just as I turned off my headlights and reached for the door handle, I saw him. Someone was standing right outside my driver's side window. I screamed. Then I noticed more figures, one at every window of my car, for people, all wearing masks. I was surrounded. One of them shouted, "Get out of the car, now." I yelled back, asking if they just wanted my stuff. One said, "Give us everything, and we'll let you go." I agreed. I unlocked the door and instantly got yanked out. They beat me, kicked me, took my watch, my phone, my wallet, even stuff from my glove box. They left me bleeding on the ground and disappeared into the darkness. I blacked out. When I woke up, I was alone. My keys were gone. Everything was gone. I hobbled toward the only house with lights far down the road. I rang the bell and begged for help. A kind woman let me use her phone. I called the police, roadside assistance, and finally, my dad. The cops arrived and took a report. My car got towed. My dad brought me home. The next day, detectives traced the Uber Eats account to someone named Logan. He claimed he lost his phone and wallet, and someone else had used them to set me up. The house, vacant and listed for sale. The people who did this never caught. I was lucky to survive. I took a long break from delivering after that, and when I returned, I only did deliveries during the day. Thanks for watching. If you found this story chilling, drop a comment below, share your thoughts, or let me know if you've experienced anything similar. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future stories like this. Stay safe out there.